Next panel will be moderated by Clyde DeSouza, Best Visual or Special Effects in a TV series or feature film. Clyde is a creative technologist and advisor to government media incubators, institutions, and film studios. Over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Patrick. Thank you, everyone. Good to have you here. And welcome to the VFX panel at the Asian Academy Creative Awards 2021. I have the privilege of hosting this live from Dubai Media City in Dubai. Lovely Monday morning. The sun's not up yet, but it's good to have everyone out here. And congratulations to all the country winners in the VFX category, especially the ones who are right now with us on the panel. And we've managed to get all this winning talent to share insights on the VFX work they've done. So let's jump right in. Let me give a warm welcome to all of the panelists. And I'll start off with from Malaysia. We have Rosh Faisal, VFX artist, and for Black Season 2. From Thailand, we've got Mr. Narit Yuvaboon. Is he here with us? Because I don't see the name. And Mr. Charlotte Clyde Monkon. That's for the world of Himapan. From Australia, welcome, Josh Simmons, VFX supervisor, Method Studios. And from the Philippines, for the Lost Recipe, we've got John Michael Ferrarin. Did I get the name right? Program manager, GMA. Let's take it away. Let's start off with something simple, because I believe we've got VFX professionals in the audience as well as students out there. So just to get things rolling, what is the difference between VFX and SFX? If you guys could take that simple one. Anyone, you can unmute your mics, I guess.
I think from my perspective, morning everybody, by the way, visual effects for us is anything that kind of happens post the shoot. We are usually involved in pre-production work and helping out with visualizing something before the shoot, but special effects is generally something that happens in camera. So it might be prosthetic makeup, it might be sort of pyro effects like explosions or steam or really simple kind of work like that. Anything that they can't get in camera, they tend to come to us with visual effects.
I like how the next question for the Philippines, the Lost Recipe entry. You know, there was a sequence out there with the bridge. Let me try and see if I can pull it up on my screen out here. Yeah. Is that working? Is that playing on?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah. So, John, could you explain to us how did you achieve the realistic effects in that bridge sequence, as well as the thing that we're seeing right now? Is that a real set, or is that a set extension or photogrammetry? What was it?
Those are actually real locations found in the city of Manila in the Philippines. The bridge is actually called Ayala Bridge, and the other location is Intramuros. You would be surprised at how VFX is not that big currently in the Philippines, so we had to make do with whatever resources are available. So okay. We shot it in two different places. Separate days, separate places, and the effects were actually done simply using a green screen, and we just had to do things, frame by frame, so that the post supervisors are working remotely. So we just had to send them the frame by frame instructions on how to achieve the look and how to make it, not jumpy when it comes to the editing. So those are real locations, and the effects were done through a green screen.
It's good to know it's seamlessly blended between real life and VFX work out there. I've got a question for Josh. Let me again try to pull up one of my. I'm doing VFX out here, you guys, in real time, by the way, using Zoom's limited. Josh, let me just see what I got for you. Yeah, could you walk us through, what went into this whole the excellent VFX character work that you've done out here? It's definitely very realistic, as you'd expect from Method Studios to do. But could you walk us through what goes into making something like this?
Yeah, sure. The character J.W. Rooster was reprised from the first film. He was kind of used as a bit of a comedy sidekick to sort of help break up the different acts. And I think we were working with Animal Logic, who did the majority of the film, but we had our own sort of breakout sequences. So these standalone sequences of JW and his family of teenage rooster boys was the main sort of scope of our work. We did also have to do, I think, around 250 shots in total, which included set extensions that aren't included here, and some digital double work for stunts too. But our biggest sort of task was very much bringing these roosters to life and, you know, studying lots of real roosters and working through all the process of building that asset, making it as real as possible, but still being able to imbue it with that really animated character that audiences had loved from the first film.
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, I went through the whole entry that you'd posted in for which won you all the country, the country winners for Australia, and I just clipped out this part. But there was also the marketplace, I think, where a lot of how was that done? I think one of the questions I have really is, in the old days, you got like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That was all cartoony, animation with interacting with live characters. But now we've got this kind of realism happening out here. How'd you go about it? How was the coordination between the SFX, the stunt people, probably?
Yeah, well, I think for these specific sequences of the rooster, because there weren't any real actors involved, we weren't really required to tie in with too much in the way of special effects. Okay. Traditionally, the art department will build stuffies, or art department and special effects will build what they call stuffies, which are basically soft toys that they then have on set with a rod to just sort of block out a scene. It's great for lighting reference, all that kind of stuff. We didn't have stuffies for the rooster sequences, again, because they were very much standalone. But any time that we were involved in some of the shots with the rabbits and that whole crew, they would come through with stuffy reference as well.
All right. Okay, that's great. I think we've got Thailand who joined us in right now. Am I right?
Yes.
Max iPad. Great. Mr. Narit Yubaboon, executive producer, Minds at Work. Nice to have you here. And Mr. Chalit Khalid Mongkong, SFX MD, Fat Cat Studios. Some excellent work out there. Thanks for joining us right in time for a question for you right now. So just let me do my magic again with the virtual backgrounds. And I really like the characters that you guys had in. That's the piece out there. Some excellent work done by you, and of course, this is the VFX work that actually made you the country winners out there. Could you explain more on how the extremely well done creature VFX was done for these scenes? I think at one point I can see this creature down out there being occluded by the rocks and things like that. How was all this done?
เช่นครับผมเขาก็อยากจะทราบว่าทำได้ยังไงครับถึงด้วยอะไรเงี้ยครับโดยเป็นอีกทีมนึงเพื่อความสมจริงครับ Okay, so for starters, they use real animals, referencing the Komodo dragons and their movements and how they interact with their environment. For example, their reaction to water and the water reaction to their body parts and movements. Okay. That's how it becomes real, as you can see.
Okay,
does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It's just very well done. That's what I can say. So great to have you guys out here, and this kind of work coming out of Southeast Asia and APAC is indeed definitely on par with. And I believe this is a series, so it's not like a feature film. So you have to churn out these effects, I guess, on an ongoing stage.
พอมีการเข้าชิงอะไรครับก็เลยมีเหมือนโปรเจกต์ที่จะต่อยอดหนังแฟนตาซีก็คือเพราะเรื่องนี้ครับมันเลยทำให้นายทุนสนใจที่จะแบบลงทุนทำโปรเจกต์หนังแฟนตาซีที่เกี่ยวกับสัตว์ประหลาด They've been getting very good feedback on this film, this series, and there's a lot of interested investors who want to turn this into like a universal universe of Marvel universe, right? Because in a nutshell, the word Himapan also means fantasy. So perhaps in the future you will see more series like this, or a film becoming like a universe of fantasy for the Thai industry.
Let me go over to Rosh. Rosh, what I'm thinking is the VFX done was really realistic. It was combined with great acting in Black Season 2. And things like, for example, the gunshot or the electrocution. Now, you wouldn't call that traditional spectacle VFX, but it was great VFX in there. And recently, you might have heard, with the tragedy that happened with Alec Baldwin on the sets of Rust, where unfortunately a life was lost because the gun was fired. A lot of people have been rethinking about weapons on set, and with Black doing such naturally good VFX in the gunshot scene, what's your opinion? What if VFX was to replace real weapons on set? And this is for every one of the panelists. What would be the challenges? Is this realistic to replace all practical weapons with VFX? And would you advocate for that?
Okay, thank you, Clyde, and all the panelists. First of all, thank you for having me here today. What happened on the set of the movie Rust, for me, is really, really heartbreaking. As a person who frequently works on a movie set, I personally concerned about how something like this could happen. Because as far as I know, no real gun or live bullet, should be allowed on any movie set. We usually use either fake guns or conventional blank guns instead. Of course, they still need to be under supervision of firearms experts with all those, safety protocols. But if you're asking me, I think, I would definitely advocate that all weapon shots be VFX only, for safety, because, now we are like living in an age where I can say visual effects can do almost everything on the screen, not just to replace guns, props, and all that, but we can even replace the actors, like make it digital double and whatnot. It's just a matter of bad or good visual effects. I think the real issue is that, for some productions, they decided to use real firearms, not because they couldn't do it in visual effects. It's just that, they probably, because they wanted the actors to feel it, to feel like using the real gun. When they pull the trigger, they can feel all the mechanical reaction from that gun, which has helped them in acting, But now, like just like what we have used in Black Season 2, I think we already have many conventional but modified guns that allows the actors to feel like real guns, with all those muzzle flashes and bullet shells, ejections. I think it's not even an issue anymore. Just allow that type of gun on set and leave the rest to visual effects team.
All right. Josh, I see you nodding in agreement kind of thing. Would you like to some insights on that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good points there. I think absolutely they're trying to get the most believable feeling for the actors to perform with, but there's no real reason to not be doing this kind of work in visual effects anymore. I mean, at the very least, even when we do work on gunfights, we're replacing muzzle flashes already because you rarely get the right muzzle flash out of a blank. So to remove the blanks altogether, and maybe even put a small kind of lighting cue on the end of the gun so you know when the gun's going off, and it gives you maybe a bit of interactive lighting on the set. That would be more than enough to make it completely convincing.
To our team from Thailand, for the world of Himapan, I said we get back to that wonderful creature stuff that we saw, right? So have you actually? I love the forest in the world of Himapan, and it does remind me a lot of what Avatar could have done. Back in the day when Avatar came out, I was always looking at if those assets were made available to like say students for teaching climate change, because that's what that movie was about in a sense. It would have been a great thing if those assets were given out for education and stuff like that, but even for gaming. Similarly with the world of Himapan and its beautiful Avatar-like world, Have you thought of extending it into the metaverse? Now, the metaverse is the new in word, right? That's happening everywhere, so that audiences and people could actually interact with those beautiful creatures and things like that. Is that on the cards?
เขาพูดถึงเรื่องฉากป่าไม้ในyeah, definitely in the deck is the gaming possibility and also metaverse ครับ metaverse yes.
That's very interesting and encouraging. Josh, do you think Peter Rabbit would actually work out in a kind of a metaverse thing? And if it were possible, what kind of additional talent would you need at Method Studios to do this?
Look, I think we haven't historically generated our own IP at Method. We're normally working for other people. But obviously we want to be able to serve our clients as best we can. And it would be a relatively straightforward technical shift for us, I think, to move some of our pipeline into that more real-time area. But I guess with your background, Clyde, you probably recognise that from a storytelling point of view, interactive is really quite different to the linear narratives that we work with in film. Yeah. But, that aspect of our work is generally handled by our clients anyway, and I imagine they would have their own story teams to make sure that that works. Regarding talent and what we would probably need to do, I think our artists would translate pretty well to a more real-time medium. I mean, obviously they're heavy offline simulations and high poly counts that we normally deal with would need to be adjusted for a real-time engines. I think we would probably look to hire some real-time developers, most likely from the game industry. I think just because they have that experience sending stuff through in real time, and it's a whole lot of stuff that, well, we've got a couple of people with a lot of interest in that area. They're not really specialists in that zone. So we'd be looking to hire those kind of people, I think.
As you can see, my head shining a lot more than it was because the sun's come out now. Yeah, let me show you the beautiful view. It's just about sunrise out there. But what you're seeing out here was fine. But yesterday was havoc because yesterday, this is what happened out there. So I'm showing you this because the next question I'm going to ask is based on these kind of things. It's this tech that's coming out here, which is like, visualization, AR being used in VFX. And so my question is, I've seen VFX houses of studios like the ThirdFloor coming up with a product called Cyclops, which is literally an AR visualization kind of device that you go out there and you record stuff like that. Are y'all as VFX houses looking at similar, have R&D departments that are working on this thing? And what about real-time VFX?
Many of the scenes being filmed today have digital characters or elements that filmmakers, crew, and actors need to envision. The ThirdFloor's award-winning app Cyclops was developed to quickly view visual effects objects not otherwise easily represented on the set or location. Cyclops uses augmented reality and game engine tech to track and overlay CG assets with live video of the physical environment in real time. While offering abilities similar to Simulcam, Cyclops runs entirely on portable devices that can be handed to anyone on the production who needs to better understand the visual effects action being shot. With Cyclops, you can add CG characters, creatures, and vehicles to see how they fit into the shooting space. You can visualize how CG top-ups will extend the actual set. You can track previs animation into a location or set to get an idea of how the action works in that environment. Cyclops has tools to move, rotate, and scale CG assets, align to the real world, playback animation, adjust lighting, toggle which layers are seen, change lenses, and save recordings. New assets or updates to content can be downloaded for immediate use wherever you are without leaving the app, with any collaborator easily able to view the results. Cyclops helps those working on a project put ideas in context and look ahead to what the future result of the work may be.
would it be, are we at a stage yet where we could literally go out, use augmented reality out there to literally give you, besides previs, some kind of, let's say, establishing shots where it's all done in camera? Is that too futuristic to think about right now? What's your thoughts?
I don't think you can never say never with this sort of work. I mean, absolutely, the technology has come along in leaps and bounds, even over the last few years. I think with something like the work that we were doing on Peter Rabbit, getting the level of detail that we needed in the feathers and having all that kind of collision work, I mean, the simulation of those feathers took so many iterations to get right. And with every kind of change of animation, it requires new simulations. And then that's a whole lot of iterating further. So I think for the kind of work that we do, it's probably a bit too early to jump into that world. With that said, I think it's amazing for pre or even post-viz work where you can actually start to flesh out a sequence rather than having grey Maya play blasts or something like that directors don't love to see. If you can give them something that's a bit close to their final image, you'll get their approval much sooner, I think.
So students out here who are in the audience, they have like a whole new level of learning to do, I suppose, besides the traditional pipeline that's been there with VFX.
Technology grows really at an exponential rate. We can never say where technology would bring us next year or in the next 2 years. So I think students really have so many opportunities going on for them. It's just a matter of of finding what would best work in your market, what would best work in your countries, and develop it for the people. And it's actually really exciting. I would love for all of these things to happen, especially in the Philippines.
It's been nice having you all, Josh, Rosh, John, a team from Thailand, and you as well, Art. Thank you for joining us. It's been a wonderful thing, and hopefully the students as well as our VFX professionals who've tuned in got something from this. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, Clyde. Thanks, everybody.
ขอบคุณครับ สวัสดีครับ
Bye.